Back when I was studying for the LSAT, it made me feel like a complete idiot sometimes. Too often we conflate our LSAT practice test scores with our intelligence, with our own self-worth, when of course it's none of these things. The LSAT is simply a test of how much you studied for it, and while it seems hard at first, it is an incredibly learnable exam. That being said, of course, as test day is approaching, it's only natural that your confidence can get shaken a little bit, especially if your practice test scores aren't where you want them to be. So today in this video, I'm going to share with you some techniques that I've personally used to help build my confidence when it comes to the LSAT. I used these back when I was studying, and I've guided many of my students through the exact same process. Now, one thing I should clarify here is that I'm not looking to give you an unrealistic sense of where you stand. I'm not looking to make you overconfident, because then of course you'd be in for a rude awakening when you get your actual official LSAT practice test score. So I want to give you grounded confidence based on where you're actually at in a way that reflects your true potential on this exam. I want to help you develop the ability to realistically gauge where you are, so you can make a more informed evaluation of where you stand, so that you can go into the LSAT with a solid sense of where you will actually perform based on what you've done previously. So one thing we want to do is we want to help you develop your ability to predict what your practice test scores will end up being. So the idea here being, you take a practice test and you predict what your score is going to be, walking through what each section was like for you, and then you check it against what your results actually were. So if you're predicting 160 and you score a 160, then you are reasonably confident. And if you're a bit above or a bit below by a couple points, that's totally fine. LSAT scores are always going to have a margin of error on a couple of points on either end. But if you're predicting 150 and you scored a 160, of course, then you're underconfident. We don't want that. On the flip side, if you're predicting a 170 and you get a 160, you were overconfident. We don't want that either. And so as you're taking each of your practice tests in the lead up to the big day, I want you to predict where you're going to score. And then over time, aim to bring your prediction closer and closer to your actual scores by remembering as much as you can how each section went for you prior to the test. So there's my practical advice. Then I also wanted to boost up your confidence to help you perform better, because a lot of this is mindset. If you feel like you're not going to do well, you won't. If you feel like you are going to do well, then you will, or at least you'll perform at your fullest potential. And so I want you to surround yourself with positivity in the lead up to the LSAT. That could be doing something like watching Legally Blonde. It could be watching other positive mindset movies. It could be watching 40 inspirational speeches in 2 minutes on YouTube to help pump yourself up. But you want to walk into the exam feeling cool and calm and ready to crush it. And provided you've done the work prior to that time, you are likely going to do well. Success affirmations do work for a lot of people because so much is mindset, even if it's a placebo. My view is, so what? If it works, it works. And what matters at the end of the day is the score. No one's going to care how you got there, provided that you prepared for it honestly, of course. Now, the LSAT is a skill. There's nothing to memorize. And so flashcards aren't going to be necessarily too helpful for you, but at the same time, you're not going to forget everything you've learned. And so keep in mind going into the test that there was nothing for you to memorize. You can't truly blank if you already have the skills. We have to make sure that, of course, you're not too pumped up with adrenaline, which can, of course, trigger the body's fight or flight response. And so this might sound weird, but you might want to do some push-ups or jumping jacks before starting the test, just to deplete your body of that excess adrenaline so you can walk in feeling a bit calmer. I know it's easy to get stressed and feel anxious about how test day itself is going to go. And so as a risk mitigation strategy, even if it's solely mental, I want you to consider booking the next test date, even if you're not planning to take it, just for the peace of mind, knowing that it's not all riding on this one LSAT test date. Of course, the LSAT as a whole is incredibly important for the law school admission process, but no one particular exam date will make or break you, because of course you can always retake the LSAT. Law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only consider the highest score. So even if you bomb the test in front of you, whether you cancel it or leave a low score on record, doesn't really matter. You can always take the LSAT in a month or two and still apply to the law school just the same. Law schools won't care what you did before, they only care about that highest score. Now, one mindset shift that really helped me to build my confidence was leading me to appreciate the intricacies of the LSAT and appreciate the opportunity to develop a deep understanding of the test rather than viewing it as a hurdle or obstacle, to develop a more positive mindset toward the LSAT as a chance to develop my legal reasoning ability. So that's one more that might work for you. Anyway, folks, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please do me a favor and share it with someone who needs to see it. I don't do any advertising for this channel. I rely only on word of mouth to help get the word out, and your spreading the word really does make a difference. And if you're looking for help developing that positive mindset, that positive view towards the LSAT, to help build your confidence by viewing the LSAT as something positive, a challenge to take on and master to develop your legal reasoning ability, of course, that is exactly what we do at LSAT Unplugged. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help. And in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.